For more on this and the future of Hong Kong's economy, current and future, I'm joined by John Quelch. He's the Dean of the Herbert Business School at the University of Miami. It's good to see you again, sir. I lived in Hong Kong for 7 years, and I heard all the complaints about what was right and what was wrong. In your opinion, the last 25 years, what are your thoughts?
Phil, 25 years ago, there were dire predictions about the imminent collapse of Hong Kong, the financial services market in Hong Kong, and everything that was great about Hong Kong. The Chinese government has proved, I think, over 25 years to be a very good steward of Hong Kong. Of course, part of the survival and growth of Hong Kong has been a function of the resilience and entrepreneurship of Hong Kongers, but it's also been a function of Beijing understanding the value of Hong Kong to the growth and going out strategy of the mainland Chinese economy. And obviously, Hong Kong has proved to be a very effective bridge between China and the rest of the world in terms of international trade and international financial services. And so that is why we see the growth in assets under management. That's why we see the stock market capitalization having increased enormously as well, and so many Chinese companies now listed and IPOing also on the Hong Kong exchange. So it's been a great success the last 25 years, and while there may be some political debate, while there may be a little bit of a shortfall in GDP growth in the first quarter of this year, the long view will tell us that Hong Kong has done very well under the auspices of Beijing.
Now, I'm going to challenge you on this because the critics will say that several things. One, as things become tied closer to China, not everybody's on board with that, and we see an exodus of some people leaving the city, right? The statistics show that over the past several years, nearly 300,000 people have left the city of Hong Kong to go elsewhere, whether it's the UK or the US or Australia. I mean, we can't ignore the fact that some people in the city are not benefiting from this relationship. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, but I think if you look at the macro picture for a moment, Hong Kong represents less than 0.5% of the total population of China. But it represents around about 3% of China GDP. And so it's effectively batting at 6 times its weight in terms of GDP per capita. There is always going to be people migrating from one country to another. That's true in terms of the UK migration to the US and to other Commonwealth countries, Australia, Canada, etc. There's always going to be that migration, and that's healthy for the world economy and world prosperity. So I think maybe the COVID lockdowns in Hong Kong have disconcerted some people, and maybe over the last 6 months that's caused a little bit more of an exodus than one would imagine. But as in any emerging economy, Phil, over time, a good emerging economy trains and develops its own native people, and they become the successors to the foreigners who were previously helping out.
Hong Kong is one of the few cities that whether you're in a taxi cab in New York or down in Miami or almost virtually anywhere in the world, it's a recognizable name that they've either been there or have a friend that's been there, and they have stories about Hong Kong. It really is amazing when you travel the world, the impact Hong Kong has had on people on an international front. On the financial markets, it's one of the major hubs in the world that drives, as you heard earlier from the financial secretary, investment, and much of it to and from China. What does the next 25 years, in your opinion, hold in terms of challenges and opportunities?
Well, I very much hope that Hong Kong and the innovativeness of its citizens, will continue to play a major role in the global economy. You know, let's face it, Singapore represents a very strong city-state competitor to Hong Kong, but Hong Kong has, against the predictions of some, stood its ground pretty well against Singapore. And as your report indicated, there are measures being taken to motivate diversification of the Hong Kong economy towards more technology innovation and production, and away from too much of a dependency on the financial services sector. So, like any great nation or any great corporation, it's a matter of continuous improvement, continuous change, and the willingness to embrace that change and invest in innovation. So I, like you, am a great admirer of Hong Kong. It's an extremely efficient place to visit and to do business in. And I have absolutely no doubt that the Chinese government recognizes all of these assets that
Right.
are represented there and is going to do everything to make sure that they are leveraged for the greater good.
All right, John. We'll set a date. We're going to meet in Hong Kong for dim sum. How about that? John Quelch joining us from the University of Miami. Thank you very much.